I was specifically asked, how did I heal my light sensitivity? So in this video, I'm going to explain the steps that I took to do this and the different programs and processes that I use in combination with them all and kind of making it my own. First off, there were many things I did in collaboration with each other to heal myself. Chronic illnesses of many different kinds, mold sensitivity, Lyme disease, and all the things. Specifically with light sensitivity, I was using brain retraining in a lot of different ways. So brain retraining is where we shift our mindset, shift the way that we're thinking about things, and change our actual reality. And you might be going, well, how the hell does that work when I'm changing my mindset? You know, how does it change my physical reality? It is amazing how it starts to shift. Of course, I did use other things to support my system and my body, like good nutrition, movements, and all sorts of things during this process. Yet brain retraining was the absolute key to this. To quickly give you an idea of what brain retraining is like, it is the process of changing your thought patterns, noticing when things are coming up that you no longer want to think about in certain ways anymore, dynamics of how you have conversations out loud with people and interact with people in your life, the patterns that are there, and how we are responding to things like the stimuli of light. So I'll quickly give an example of a way that I did this just so you can kind of see how I helped with the light sensitivity. So going through the brain retraining process, you go through different steps of your training zone, which I will explain here in a minute. And at first I was so sensitive to light that I had my phone on the dimmest way possible that I could have it, which was an extra filter that I purchased so that my phone was barely even visible, and it was just red and black light that was coming through on it. That's it. That's all I could see on my screen. I was wearing dark old lady sunglasses pretty much all the time, and I had the blinds closed. Artificial light was the worst, yet I had the light sensitivity in general as well. When I first started this, I would just use the futureizations, or the visualizations, basically imagining yourself in the future without the light sensitivity. And if you were not born with light sensitivity, you know what light sensitivity or life without light sensitivity is like. So you can use that as a tool to help you with the brain retraining process of futurization. So initially it was futurizing myself and saying, okay, I am seeing myself in the future, feeling myself in the future, not having the light sensitivity. And then it was little incremental trainings to exposing myself to the light in different ways and feeling what that felt like. So at first, when I would stand under the light, it was not just, you know, even I did this, I covered my eyes completely, and like with sunglasses, maybe I had over my sunglasses, and I literally stood under the light. And I was like, okay, just because I am knowing that the light is there, my limbic system is so stressed with the fact that I'm just knowing that I'm under the light that I could, like, and you can feel like the heat of the light as well, right? That I was feeling the heat of the light and feeling like it was actually attacking me and feeling like it was actually physically hurting my body, because the light sensitivity was hurting my eyes so much that when I would then feel the heat from the light, my brain, my limbic system, my nervous system had all taken it in and said, you are in pain, you cannot be under this light, this is dangerous, which is false. That isn't true. If I'm covering my eyes and sitting under the light and there's just the heat coming down, that's a pattern that my body had picked up that wasn't actually true, just because it was the correlation with the heat of the lamp and also the with the brightness and the pain that had occurred in the past up until that point from that light sensitivity. So I started in incremental training by just being under the light and telling myself, no, I'm actually safe being here under the light. So real quickly, I'll just explain the training zone and brain retraining. So when we're here, let's say for me, this was on this end of the spectrum when I was extremely sensitive to light. My phone was at those dark filter modes, and I was in pain wearing sunglasses pretty much all the time, a lot of shades drawn. And then here is now to where I am today, and where I can be under light as much as I want, sit in front of a ring light. It doesn't really affect me. And of course, you know, bright light will affect anybody after a certain amount of time, but it's not something that stops my world anymore. It's something I even think about anymore. So when I was here, how did I get the incremental steps to getting to where I am now, which now this is like 7 years later. So here, my first little bit of training zone here, this tiny little slice over here, was when I was just imagining, futurizing myself, seeing myself in the future with looking at light, being under light, being in a bright room, and it not affecting me at all. So it was just coming up with those possibilities, just even making it a possibility for myself that this is possible for me to get from here to here. That was the first step, is just knowing that that's a possibility, and seeing people who had recovered, like you're watching me now. Those were like huge things that like led me to just initially believing that it was a possibility, just a little sliver of possibility. And then when I watched more and more videos and I started understanding the brain retraining process, the belief got bigger and it started to make more sense and it started to click. So when I was then going from this training zone over here to over here, so now we have sorry, switched hands because my arm was getting tired holding the phone. When I was over here, the first training zone was futurization. Then the second little bit was exposing myself to the light when I was covering my eyes and just feeling the heat of the light of the lamp that was there. And there was certain light in the bathroom that was like really intense with my eyes. I basically lived with a little Himalayan nightlight on the wall, and that was my sole source of bathroom light because this light was really intense for me. So I went in there, put my hat over my eyes, had my sunglasses on, literally closed my eyes and sat under the light. Told myself, I am safe. This light is not harming me. This light is allowing me to see what I need to see, to do things in the bathroom, to live life, you know, to be able to navigate my world, not in darkness. And then after I did that, I took the sunglasses off, I took the hat off after I did this, you know, so many times, and I started to feel a difference in my limbic system, in my nervous system, in my brain, in my mindset around this. And then I started to take the sunglasses off and take the hat off and just close my eyes under it. Now the light is coming through my eyelids. So this is a next little, so we have, you know, we're going into the incremental training. Now we're over just a tiny bit more. And now I would just expose myself on a regular basis to the light with my eyes closed and it coming through my eyelids, because that was still painful in itself. And every single morning I would do my futurizations and I would tell myself I am safe, I am not in harm, and then I slowly began to open my eyes and you know, just be like, and I think I might have even turned away from the light and just started looking at the wall and with the light on and breathing, telling myself I was safe, this isn't harming me. And then it was slowly more exposure to that, you know, different lights in different places, taking my sunglasses off a little bit more, just continuously doing the futurizations every single morning, doing journal entries, really creating that awareness for myself. Another thing that helped me with this was taking passion flower, because passion flower helps to calm the nervous system. So it helped with some of like nerve pain in general, and just calming my system down a little bit. So that was a really good tool for me for multiple things, was passion flower. Another thing was to get out of the moldy situation that I had been in. So I had been living in mold, the house was remediated. That was a whole big process in itself. That was crazy for a few months of living in other places and being really sick while doing it and trying to navigate all that. So getting out of that was super helpful. I had a lot of food sensitivities, so for me, eating, you know, I was as I was going through this brain retraining process, adding things back in. If you're eating a high sugar diet or foods that might not be balancing your system, then helping, balancing your system, your body with foods that can be alkaline and that can be helpful. I also did breath work. So I did alkalosis breathing, or like a Wim Hof style breath work. Now what this does is it puts your body in an intentional state of shock. So you go into temporary alkalosis, which in the moment when you are in that respiratory alkalosis state, your body says, whoa, hold on a second. I cannot run on these patterns of behavior that I was running on before. I have to stay present here and now in this moment to survive. So when I was having histamine releases, when I was having light sensitivity, when I was having sound sensitivity, all of these things, when I did the Wim Hof breathing, my body wasn't able to fully go into that mode. So it was great to do a round or 2 or 3 of the alkalosis breathing, the Wim Hof style breathing, before I did an incremental training. So, where I would sit under the light and expose myself to that. That was a great way to prep my body, tell my body that it was learning a new behavior and it was going into a new pattern. The most profound thing with this for light sensitivity was definitely the brain retraining aspect of calming my system down, allowing myself to tell myself it was safe, and do those just incremental trainings, those futurizations every single day. And in my futurizations, it was for all the other things that I was manifesting into my physical reality, which I live now. So it's possible, it happens. I am one of many thousands of people who have done this, and I was not born with light sensitivity. I was not born with sound sensitivity. I had no food allergies, so I knew that my body knew how to do this before and that it could do this again. I hope that helps answer your question about the light sensitivity, and I wish you so much love, so much success in your practices and in your health and your journey yourself. If this resonated with you, please give it a like so that this can get out to a bunch of other people, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.